Today, we're going to talk about the dark side of Korea and why they work themselves to death. Just a few decades ago, South Korea was struggling, undeveloped country with a mostly uneducated population and an economy that was performing worse than North Korea's. But today, the country has completely transformed itself, with better infrastructure than most European countries, churning out hundreds of thousands of university graduates every year and producing some of the most renowned Korean-made products worldwide. However, this economic miracle came at a price. The same factors that led to the growth of the South Korea's economies are now damaging the entire Korean society. For instance, South Korea has the highest number of suicides globally. Young people are struggling to find jobs, and Koreans are among the unhappiest nations worldwide. So, what was the secret behind the Korean economic miracle, and why do Koreans have to pay for their own success? Let's explore this. In the mid-1950s, Korea's starting position was not ideal. For most of the first half of the 20th century, South Korea had been under Japanese occupation, where Koreans had limited access to education and qualified jobs. After the Second World War, the Japanese left, but the country was immediately divided between the US-backed South and the Soviet-backed North. Just a few years after the North attacked the South, the ensuing war destroyed almost all the industry and infrastructure that existed in the South. By the end of the war in 1953, most of the South Korea's population was illiterate, its economy was mainly based on agriculture, and its prospects for the future were looking bleak. The Korean government transformed the economy from agricultural to industry by supporting family-owned companies called chaebols in the 1960s. These companies received government support and were able to aggressively expand and produce various products, leading to economic growth. Korea experienced an unprecedented education boom since the end of the war. The government promoted the idea that a university degree was necessary for success in life, leading to achieving a college education became the main priority for every kid and parent. In a few decades, South Korea became the most educated country globally, with over 2/3 of young people holding a university degree. The chaebols created a culture of extreme work ethic with complete loyalty to the company. Employees work long hours, evenings, and weekends, and spend time with coworkers after work. After-hours drinking with the boss is common, and leaving work before the boss is not allowed. However, while this did make the Korean miracle happen, it's not really working anymore, and all those three reasons are becoming more and more toxic and damaging, not just for the economy, but for society as a whole. The chaebol paradoxes are big issues. They account for 85% of the GDP, but they make up only 10% of South Korean jobs. They got good at growing without hiring many people over time. A Seoul National University economics professor remarked, "The big companies have mastered a business model to strive without boosting hiring to save money. Everyone wants to work at these companies since they have the best jobs. Today, Korea has more qualified workers than employed. Korean universities graduate hundreds of thousands of students each year, but it's increasingly harder for them to find jobs. College graduates in South Korea now have a greater jobless rate than non-graduates, which is unprecedented. The government had to start a program to help college-educated young people find jobs abroad to avoid poverty and joblessness in Korea. Even when the Korean economy is good, average people don't benefit. These college graduates don't want manual labor employment since they are low-paying and stigmatized in Korean society. There are too few blue-collar workers and too many unemployed college graduates. That's frustrating in a society preoccupied with success and knowledge. College graduates desire competent jobs because they worked hard to earn their degrees. The South Korean education system is the most competitive in the world due to its perceived importance. Not only is it difficult to get into a prestigious institution, but children, even the smallest, must work as hard as adults to keep up. 83% of 5-year-olds in South Korea attend after-school private education, spending 16% of their income on it. To reduce Koreans' children's crazy workload, the government banned private tutoring after 10 p.m. South Korea still has high education inflation. Even with a high degree, youngsters and students can't find jobs. Therefore, formal education is losing its value. Those who receive jobs work in a rigid, hierarchical environment where loyalty is rewarded over performance. Koreans work longer than everybody else, but produce less. In the 21st century, a culture that favors hard effort over smart work isn't working. South Koreans are among the unhappiest in the world due to their work culture, social pressure, and the economy. For 20 years, the country has experienced the most suicides per capita. It's so horrible that even the government is slowly trying to fix it, albeit without much success. It's hard to reform the system, even though many people in the country are unhappy with it. Reform is impossible since the chaebols have political power and the system works well for them. While the South Korean economic boom has been incredibly impressive, the country is now stuck with corporations that are too big to fail and too powerful to allow any change. The growing youth unemployment rate and deeply depressed population are some of the signs that the Korean model is no longer working. It's time for South Korea to reevaluate its priorities and find a new way forward. A way that doesn't sacrifice the well-being of its people for the sake of economic growth. It's a challenging task, but it's necessary if South Korea wants to continue to prosper in the 21st century. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this.